Hello everyone, welcome back to the e-learning space of MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro. This is the second video of Class 8 English Literature Reader lesson number 7. Lesson number 7 of Class 8 Literature Reader is titled Adventure at Toad Hall. It is written by the famous children's writer Kenneth Grahame. In our first video, we read the story, discussed it, and learned something about the author. In this video, let us see a little background of the story. This story, Adventure at Toad Hall, is actually based on a popular book titled The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. The Adventures of Mr. Toad tells the story of Mr. Toad and his animal friends who live a wonderful life in Toad Hall. Mr. Toad has a passion for speed, driving, and of course, mischief. He has some slower-paced friends like the mole, rat, and badger, and these friends are constantly trying to keep Mr. Toad out of mischief. Now, children, having discussed a little background of the story, let us recollect the summary of the lesson, Adventure at Toad Hall. Ratty, Mole, and Toady are three friends. Toady is rich and prosperous. Remember, these characters are actually animals. Ratty and Mole visit Toady and find that he wants to go on a road trip with them in a canary yellow gypsy caravan. He already is set for the journey and wants Ratty to take the reins. Ratty simply refuses it. But on seeing that his friend Mole is wistful about the idea, he finally gives into the idea of a road trip. As they set for the journey, a motor car comes speeding their way, bringing a cloud of dust. Their horse feels threatened. Ratty loses control of the reins and the cart falls into the ditch, broken and shattered beyond repair. So the adventure that was promised to them lies in a ditch and they're not able to meet their dream of going on a road trip in a nicely compact and comfortable caravan. Now that we have recollected the summary of the story, come to the textual exercises, understand and answer. Mark the following statements as true T or false F. Toady was a famous person in the neighborhood. True, because we see Mole says that I have heard a lot about him. So he has heard because he is famous. Ratty agreed to Mole's request because any time was the right time to visit Toady. True, he says this in his conversation with the mole. Toady was known to be very clever and humble according to Ratty. No, false. He clearly says that he is not a genius. Toady had the finest residence in the neighborhood. True, we all know from the story that he had a very great house. Today, Toady had a board put up to discourage visitors. False. No, that board was put to show that it is a private property and only boats owned by his friends or the owner house can be parked there, you can say, or can be anchored there. Coming to the question answers, the first one, what did Ratty conclude because Toady's place had a deserted and unused air about it? What does this tell you about Ratty? So, on seeing the deserted and unused air about Toady's place, Ratty concluded that Toady must have developed a new hobby and that is why he has abandoned rowing or boating. This tells us that Ratty knew his friend Toady quite well. How did Toady respond when he saw his visitors? Toady responded in an excited manner. He jumped out of his chair, shook the paws of his visitors, and welcomed them warmly. He also said that they were the very people he was waiting to meet. When and why did Ratty nudge Mole? On their way to Toad Hall, Ratty had clearly told Mole that Mr. Toad is a boisterous and boastful and quite conceited person. So when Toad started, praising about and boasting about his residence, Ratty nudged Mole. What do you think Toady meant when he said it's only my way, This means that Toady quite frankly knew about his boastful behavior, and he also realized that Ratty knew him quite well, so he accepts that he is a bit boastful in nature. What was the new fad Toady introduced them to? The new fad that Toady introduced them to was a canary yellow colored gypsy van or a caravan, which Toady wanted to use to go on an adventure trip with these friends of his. What made Toady feel triumphant when he led his companions to the cart? When Toady pitched the idea of going on an adventure, Ratty flatly declined the idea. But when he saw that his friend Mole looked wistful about the adventure, he became a little bit, hesitant. And this made Toady become diplomatic about the adventure. And finally, when all of them agreed to go on an adventure, he felt triumphant. He felt victorious because it was his original idea and he was now successful to put it uh, in front of them and become lucky to have won the round with his friends. Come to question number 3. Find words in the text for the meanings given below. All these things you are going to turn to the pages mentioned. Find the words on your own. Think and appreciate. What do you think Toady would do now that this caravan was wrecked? What would he do? This is a very subjective answer. What do you think, given to the nature of Toady? What do you think he is going to do? Ratty, Mole, and Toady have very different personalities. Describe each one's personality with 1 or 2 examples from the text. What aspects of each one's personality do you like best? So Ratty is a little slow-paced. He knows his friend. He is cautious about things. He's mistrustful of the actions of Toady. Mole is also slow-paced, but he is wistful. He likes the idea of a good house and an adventure. Toady, on the other hand, is, loving speed. He wants to go on adventure. He likes change. He's boastful. He's boisterous. He's conceited. And what do you like best? It's a very subjective answer. You will have to answer this on your own. So children, that brings us to the end of our lesson. And the assignments that you're going to do from this lesson is read the lesson and mark the tough words, learn the word meanings, complete all the textual exercises as we have discussed in this video in your reader book itself, and understand and answer question number 2, page 42. You have to do that in your English copies. Now, based on your understanding of the lesson, give a pictorial representation of the story and color it. Thank you and take care. See you in the next video.